Hey folks, welcome this evening. I'm going to get started and dig into kind of what I started yesterday. I've got, let's see, let's go to GitHub, find Maxim-Engine, and take a look at my project. I think I have one item that I've started, the rule priorities item. And yesterday I worked through sort of refactoring how the execute function works, added a limit to the number of generations that it runs because I switched to a recursive algorithm, so now it will actually run the rule set more than once. In fact, it will just arbitrarily run it however many times there are still rules to fire. Now, that lets a rule set resolve, so if there are no rules touched by the consequences that the conditions depended upon, then the new rules list will be empty, and the count will be 0 when this actually calls through. So that I don't have a lot of testing around that yet. It was just kind of a byproduct of how the refactoring went. So I'm a little nervous about a bit of that because I didn't purposefully step into the recursive algorithm. It just kind of happened. So I'd like to continue the path through priority and see if I can get the priority mechanism the way I'd like it. I started a test in here where I was exploring 2 rules, each looking for, oh look at that, I have some console logging left in, let me just get rid of those. Trying to call some functions. This is a little bit abusive. But if I register those 2 rules, I say it's abusive simply because I don't know how much I want to support storing functions in the working memory itself. That feels like a bad thing. If you needed functions to be available to the rules, you should have declared the functions near where you declare the rules so that their availability would be captured in the lambda the rule that encapsulated the rule. So I don't know. I'm kind of abusing this right now so that I can do some spies. So in order for these rules to work, I had to have, I wonder, no, it wouldn't be here. So let's, it should respect priorities, or a priority. And that, with these registered rules, when I ask the engine to execute across some memory, so clearly my memory has to have a func1 and a func2. So let's say that func1 is a spy. We started this yesterday. And func2 is also spy. Now I need to handle those spies, so let me pull this out as a variable, call it func1, same with you, as func2, and now I can say that I ought to expect that func1 was, let's see, how's the syntax work? was called to before func2. So let's see. Does that make sense? Well, currently I don't have any guarantee of that. This might accidentally pass. A func1 is not a function. Wait a minute. Deja vu. What do you think? Func1 is not a function. Fought with this yesterday. The dummy data. That's right. When we stepped into this yesterday, we discovered that the value of this reference here was coming through the proxy that we mocked. And the proxy that we mocked is up here, like such. I think that I can go one better with this. But just before I do that, I think that this block of tests here, and yes, these are also dependent upon them. I got too much going on there. Look at all that mess. Okay, let's see if we can clean that up. So we got thinking. Okay, we have the before each here that sets up some dummy data and some proxy doubles and initializes an engine. Now, this certainly doesn't need that. And this certainly doesn't need that. I got some tests in here that sure don't depend on this before each. You know, they need an engine to have been initialized. They sure don't need this engine with all of this stuff. Now we did need these in order to initialize the engine. Just to stub out the proxy references. But if we don't provide those to the engine will throw. Okay, good with that. Let's be explicit. But they do not have to look like those. I suppose what I was thinking here was that I need to have an engine. I may as well give it something. It doesn't need all this. I don't like how much of this happened. Some spies, some stubs, doing dummy data stuff. I don't know. I wonder what the minimum viable proxy builders I could hand it would be. Let's experiment with that a little. So, describe baseline or initial rule registration. Maybe that's the thing. Inside there, you'll need some kind of a before each. So out here we're declaring the engine variable. In here we can say you need a new engine. Can I just do this? I wonder. I feel like I want to name this. I'm going to replace this occurrence with a fake read-only proxy builder. And I'm going to name this as a fake write-through proxy builder, just to make the test a bit more illustrative, right? And let's see if we can stuff the rules that are the tests that don't execute. Even this test inside this describe block. That means that this before each could do that. For this block, oh, I'm faking out the right through proxy builder. I'm not sure I fully enabled that again. That also means that I'm going to need to set up, I don't know if it's at all going to look the same, but at least let's get us an engine inside the prioritization checks. There's a lot here. Let's disable this describe for now. See what our tests look like. So, test of passing, that worked out nicely. I made this stuff a little bit more clear with some simpler initialization. This stuff still looks ugly. If I turn this back on. Expected 1 to equal 2. 1 to equal 2, 1 to equal 2. Collaborating with the write-through proxy builder. You know what? I agree with the 1. There would only be the 1 pass through. All this dirtiness here started from me characterizing those values in this test. And it feels really cavalier that I'm just changing them. But that's the way characterization tests go. You try to guess the behavior by observing what it does now. You don't have a full understanding of what that is, so you measure it, you record it in the test, and when it changes, like it has now, you still don't know why it changed. So it feels really dirty, but I believe that the algorithm is working. I think recharacterizing it here still kind of a good faith gesture in that belief. So I feel funny, but not funny enough to not do it, if that makes sense. Okay, this test is passing, and it should not be. The only reason it is passing is because the order in which I added these rules is the order in which the rules are getting executed. And so if I reverse the order, I expect it would fail, and it's passing. I'm a liar. Okay, why did this not do the thing? Expect func2 or func1 to be called before func2. I really want to see this test fail. I need it to fail. The two funcs are described. So let me just have a quick sanity check here. I would expect that func1 was called. Is that a thing? Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting Sinan. Check the docs. Maybe called isn't a thing. Well, I expect it would be called once. Would I? Yes, I believe so. I expect it would be called once. So no, I don't see that stuff here either. Call count. Why aren't you documented in here? .711. What version of Sinan am I using? I'm assuming 7. I don't know my keyboard shortcuts for this editor. I'm trying to find... I hate when I forget a keyboard shortcut like that. I bounce between so many editors. I spend most of my time just demonstrating and checking, not actually doing during the day. I like to code at night. That makes me happy. I thought... There it is. Key map reference. You ever sit there looking for the obvious thing in front of your nose? Yeah. We're developers. We do that all the time. So I have application, Control-Shift-N. Why didn't it pick it up? Oh, what? Has this changed? That has changed considerably. There was a WebDRM update, and that's not what it used to look like. Okay, back to Xenon. I am on Xenon 711. All this to find that out. So, there's call count, and there's called. These are properties on the spot. Okay, that's just fine. If I run this test, they're passing, so I could expect that func1 was called. Let's make sure func2 was called. So func2 was also called. Now, I would expect that neither of these could be true, or these two things both could not be true at the same time. And they were. So func1 was called before func2, but func2 was also called before func1. Were they called several times? They're always true, but no properties were modified. It shouldn't trigger more than once. I'm curious. So let's switch this from call count to say we would expect, or from called, that func1's call count to equal 1. I'm in Java. I can't forget my semicolons, or I shouldn't anyways. Okay, here we go. Our JavaScript. So I would, if the call count was 1, I would expect it to not equal 2. What's broken about my assertions? Oh boy. Let me, so I'll sit on. I called once, called twice. I mean, I'm evaluating call count. I expect it to be equal to, or 1, or not all of them. Sanity check. What if I log out here to say call count? What are you actually, please? What do we get? Whoa, no output. Wait a tick. X describe. Oh boy. Don't code alone. Okay. Come on, folks. Where's my pair? Hey, dummy. Your tests are commented out. Oh. Maybe I'll fix that. Right, so this mess ought to be a mess, please. Be a mess. Yeah, it's a mess. So let's go back to where I was to begin with. Let's say, you know what? I just want to know that func1 was called before func2. And that is, survey says, false. Func1 is not a function. Back to it not being a function, huh? Oh, of course it's not a function. The reason I rearranged all the object initialization in the before each here was so that I could mess with the proxies and do something to set myself up for being able to have an intelligent assertion. So let's see. Let's make a couple of spies, and I'm gonna rip these out of here. I'm gonna stuff them up here, and I'm gonna say that wait. They're returning a dummy data. So I need func1, func2, and I need dummy data. And I need read only proxy builder double. And I need write through proxy builder double. Oh, and I need an engine. And I want the dummy data to have func1 and a func2. And I don't really care what I hand in here anymore, because the dummy data is going to come from the thing. These two things are still going to execute, hopefully in order. I expected this test currently to pass. And it didn't pass. Oh, called before undefined. A func1? I thought I was defining func1. Oh, hang on, I'm masking it. I need it to be this func1, not a func1 local to this scope. So let's run this again. Okay, we're passing. Now I also expect if I noodle the order, this would be false. And it's true. Back to the call count. What was the call count? It ran the loop 10 times. We have proxies. Proxies are always going to return that data structure, and it's going to look like a thing. Tell you what, let's say when we initialize the engine, it's going to run it a maximum, or execute the engine. It's going to run it a maximum of 1 times. Let's do 1 generation of rolls. This will change the game. Call count should be 1. Test should be failing. If I go back to this, let's verify call count was 1, please. Yes, call count was 1. So you're good. You're back to something that I expect. If I put this back to here, call count should be failing. And it is. So now I can actually write the test that I wanted to write. when I execute across a dummy working memory one time, then func1 would be called before in this case, because func1 is being called here. Let's make it so that we really want func2, oops, not 32, 2 please, to be called before func1. This results in a failing test. And now I want to force myself to write the code to say that when the priority of func1 is lower than the priority of, when the priority of the first rule that calls func1 is lower than the priority of the second rule that calls func2, that should execute this rule first, func2 first, called before func1. Should be clean. This will fail because I haven't written the implementation for priority yet. And happily it does. Let's implement the let's implement. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. Okay, back to the engine. Here is really where I wanted to take the rules list that I have, sort that rules list by priority. Should be a simple implementation here. So if the blah 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 news rules is a rule list, filter, do all the things. Let's sort it first. So we need a sorter. So let's see, sort by priority. I could do it this way. I could build a simple function up here. That does how do I make this not go backwards? I have a simple sorter that sorts by some priority property. I should do a generic thing that likes that. That does that. I'm using the sorter. Still failing. Did I get these wrong? I always get those wrong. Yep, got them wrong. Okay. I think I have a test and implementation. Now, if two things have the same priority, they are still going to be ambiguous. In my old streaming setup, I had everything running on one computer, and I had OBS set to detect which application was in the foreground. So when my IDE was in the foreground, I had it switched to this camera, and when my console was in the foreground, my head is in the way, I would switch to this camera. Doesn't work when I'm using two computers. So if I look like I'm confused and don't know which camera I'm looking into, that's why. Sorry. I'll fix this one day. I once embarked on a thought whether I could implement a remote scene switcher for OBS. Got complicated. I backed off it. Maybe I'll revisit that one day. Okay. I might be finished the implementation. if I go to the integration spec and I say here now, let's uncomment this integration test where I've got a 100 rule or 100 priority rule and a 1 priority rule. I expect it to equal 100 because it is the higher priority switch. Excuse me. It got a 10. It got a 10. Let's explore this. Did I mess up the rule or did I mess up the implementation? So the priority is 100. Oh wait, I can't just sort them. I can't just sort them. Starting to come into focus here. So sorting them going in is fine. No, I should be able to sort them going in. Well, clearly something's wrong. Let's see what this is. So priority 100, when I see a value of 1, which it goes in with, I set the value to 100. Priority 1, when I see the value as 1, it sets it to 10. If I reverse these priorities, did I just get the priority order wrong? Yeah. Let's revisit my other test. We'll let you fail. So my other test expects function 2 to be called before function 1. Function 2 is a high priority. This always fires. If the same sorter is applied all the time, why do I have the 2 different priorities seemingly fired in 2 different orders? Let's put in a little debugging. So I have sort. And I sort just before I execute. Let's build a quick map that takes a rule and then log the priority. Return the rule so it can change to the next thing, the filter. Oops. Yeah, no semicolon, please. All right, what do we got here? So I'm not specifying. Look what I did. I fell into the same trap, did I? Yes, I did. All right, let me check something. So this is passing. This is not. We expected 100, we got 10. If we ask the engine to execute one generation, do we get different behavior? No. No, we don't. No, we don't. Okay. So the 100 definitely fires first. Where's my 1s and 2s? There's the 2 and the 1. The highest one fires first. The second highest fires second. The highest one fires first. Second one fires second. I guess one question I have is, why is this firing every time? I have a thought. When the engine runs things through, each time it does an execution, it does need to reset the proxy builders. And it is. It's resetting them every time. So let's check the working memory. Let's call this what it is, please. So current memory is, in our case, it actually contains a value. Well, we verified that the sorting happens. The sorting happens is in the good order. The next thing that I'd like to check is that when we, not you, when we execute these consequences, oops. Let's console log something out. Setting to 100 and setting to 10? How could that be? It would never be 1 twice. unless something's getting wrong with how I'm handling working memory through generations. Let's look at the engine. It's funny, I have one generational test that appears to be passing. Oh yeah. Hey Fletcher King. Yes indeed. I've got a... Oh my gosh, who makes this one? Hey, it's a Cooler Master. I've got a couple of these. I like the 10 keyless keyboards. So it's a mechanical keyboard. It's loud and clicky. Sorry about that. I have an envelope full of extra O-rings. I could reduce the clickiness, but I don't know. Something about my brain likes the clickiness. Don't know why. This laptop does have a nice keyboard on it, which is the reason I have this laptop. I'm a longtime Mac junkie, and I have a really hard time with the new Mac keyboards. A really hard time. So I've in this instance I feel bad about it, but I gave up Mac OS for Windows. Well, no, I didn't. I still run Mac OS everywhere else. But this dev machine, in order to kind of get good productivity again, I don't know. As you can see, I'm still conflicted about it. But I'm all stuck on this passing them around, because I kick off the rule set. I have working memory. I'm passing it into the recursive function. Oh, this could certainly be inlined. No reason for that variable. So I pass in working memory. I stuff it into a new variable. I don't even know why. I mean, I'm making copies when I run consequences, which is funny. Yeah. I'm on this to do. That's to doing. Well, if the row's length was 0, certainly that wouldn't go. And now I broke rule. New rules list is undefined. Because it's sitting here. Would this even go inside here? If rules length is greater than 0, do some stuff. If it's 0, then yeah, we're done. Alright, how's our tests? Go back to a single failing test that I expected. Where undefined is expected to equal 100. What? That's an interesting hint. Undefined is expected to equal 100. The return value of the consequence. What am I doing with that? Call the consequence. Oh, I'm discarding it. So I'm doing nothing with it. error is definitely happening here. Passing in value 1. So what's in value? Undefined. What's messing up my value assignment? Oh, yeah, this. Let's not make that part of the equation, shall we? That is not part of the assignment. Why don't you like that? Must be an L value. Fine then. Let's add some braces to this. Do this. Then do that. All right. Setting to 100, then setting it to 10. Both are firing. I'm assuming the WM value in these cases is both 1. No. So, if it's 100, how is this condition matching? Riddle me this. I think I've got my flaw. It's the challenge with trivial rule sets. I am checking the conditions, all of them. Initially, both conditions match. That results in a list of rules that will all have the consequences on. Major flaw in my algorithm. Let's fix it. This, I'm a little unhappy that it took this many tests to expose such a critical flaw, but I only have 2 tests that are multiple, really multiple rules, maybe 2 or 3. So let's see. With each condition match, I need to run the consequence. Let's stop being tricky. Let's get a little imperative. for each of those rules, sorted by priority. Oh, excuse me. For each of those rules, sorted by priority, I want to mutate the memory with each if the oh man, I'm getting all turned around here. I don't like this being called new memory. Can I call this current memory? So if checking the condition on current memory against the rule matches, then what I want to happen is current memory becomes run consequence against the rule. How bad did I blow it up? Oh, I didn't. Glad I exposed that stuff. Alright, let me clear this stuff out. Hold, please, before I do this completely. I want to see that test fail for the right reason. I want to say if this is a priority 1000, then that should have been 10. 10? Yes. But it was priority 1. Thus it is 100. Alright, priorities seem to be working again. Okay, let me turn this back into short form arrow and looking good. So now working memory mutates. The rule runs as an atomic unit. I suppose that's the big thing. I separated the rule into two pieces, the condition and the consequence. That's what broke me. Treating them as single unit, I had to switch to this for each construct. But all the mutations happen. I should like at some point to refactor this better towards something that actually doesn't, well, it's not really mutating the data. I'm building a new current memory, but it's not really what I would call functional. My tests are passing. This feature is done. I think I might call this a night. It's been an hour. Good amount of time for stream. And I got a little prep to do for tomorrow. So let's call this a happy thing. So the commit, this is, oh boy, we did a lot of things. I got a couple tests around the prioritization. There's the push. Just before I do push though, let's bump the patch version up. Right. Sounds good thing. Let's watch it through. Let's just gonna pull up Travis. Watch this build out. There we go. Finally triggered. I'm only developing this on Node 10, so I don't strictly know if it's fully backwards compatible. Previous versions have been. I didn't change much. Oh. C. Now wait a minute. Lots of duplication. What kind of duplication are we talking about here? Oh, the describe blocks. Those are in the proxies. It's right. These are very similar code, except for this call. That call makes all the difference. I'm not gonna make this code less clear by removing that duplication. It's not duplication. It is, when we talk about no duplication, we're talking about duplicate knowledge, or it's, as Uncle will phrase it, the having a single reason to change, right? Hang on. He's talking that more about single responsibility. I mean, there's some correlation here, but the thing is, it's not the same thing. This is a proxy for a setter reflection. This is a proxy for a defined property reflection. They look the same because set and defined property are extremely similar calls, just called in different circumstances. But I need to keep them differentiated. I need them both, and they are two different things. The Reflect API is really clear on these firing under very different circumstances. If I walk through a bunch of gyrations to reduce the text of this supposed duplication, then I'm kind of violating the clarity of it all. I'm not willing to do that. So this is an interesting thing. I mean, I talked a little bit about this in previous casts, but you know, these tools are good. They give you something to think about. Don't just act upon it. Think about it. That's you can get spun around so hard on some of these. What about some of this other stuff? I'm just not worried about those. It does indicate a code smell. Yeah, I know about this one. This is in the right through proxy builder. And a lot of that is this constructor is quite long. You know, I'm defining these things. And I think making this long as these lambdas, I could split it apart, but I don't want to. So I suppose what I'm saying is, sorry, Code Clement, I disagree. I'm not too worried about this right now. So I'll leave it. If it annoys me enough, I'll probably find a way to tweak the rule set and adapt it to my belief, but I'm not worried about it. This is a tiny little project. 17 files. Not worth sweating about. Alright, so that's up. Travis is green. This is happy, and we ought to have a brand new package. Or not. Didn't I configure Travis to push for us? Thought I did. Let's check out Travis. I did not. Did I? Oh yeah, no, npm provider to deploy. That's what all this is. Into that repository. Has my key been compromised? I've been broadcasting with this key open. Probably not my best idea. I think, if memory serves, this was a bit of a laggard in updating. But I could be wrong. I thought. I'm gonna try a thing. Was that the path? Yeah. Yeah. Still sitting at 101. This This feels like such a mark. It's not that bad, honest. All right. What workflow did I set up here? I suppose it's been so long since I've done my last release. I cannot recall. And the push triggered it. It did a build. It did the things. Not tagged commit. I don't know if it pushed the tags. When I asked us to push, yeah, I didn't push the tags. Now it's pushed the tags. And it's going to trigger another build. And it's going to do all the calculations again. And that is okay. Oh, IDEs. Why don't I just use the command line? Is this gonna, yeah, it is gonna pick it up. Okay, there we go. Well, Mr. Travis CI, I'm assuming you're a mister. Yep. I should like you to deploy, please. Much happier. I have to bump it again? What? Wait a minute. It's going to do that once for everything. Did one of the other builds finish first? Yeah. I have Travis set to do 3 simultaneous builds. Whichever one wins, wins the NPM publish step. That's fine with me. I'm none too worried about that. Now, I did complete the priority. I did it bad. I released, it was a patch version. Maybe I should think about these things before I do them. It was a patch version. Probably should have been a version bump. Needed to be documentation updates present. Let's do the right things here. Let's go into here. And fix the lies in the documentation. Let's see. So a consequence changes property referenced in working memory by a registered rule. When this happens, it will read on the rules app. This is no longer no detection, no optimization of rule reruns. Okay, roadmap. That's done. So priorities we're doing. Must feel like the same thing. Can be prioritized. And let's use my example from the tests. Let's register a set of rules. The first rule is priority 1, 100. Condition. When the value is 1, set the value to 100. priority 1. As a condition. And a consequence. Send it a value of 1. Pull the result out of it. And the value will be 100. Because 100 had a higher priority. Okay. That feels a little bit better. Give that a quick read. I suppose I could document around calling execute. And that evaluates a maximum of 100 generations of working memory. All right, I think I'm pretty happy there. I think I'm pretty happy. Got a readme change. Updating documentation for priority. Final test for the tests passing. Let's bump the minor version. Let's make this a 1.1. And we're good here, right? Yeah, we're good. Tags. I want to push tags. How could I even forget this? Data tags. Yeah. Let's push the tags up. And our changes. That'll trigger a 1.1 release. Much happier with that. We'll let that actually happen. Now, you know, I shouldn't let it bother me. This is bugging the heck out of me. It's 9 o'clock already. Been an hour and a half here. I'm gonna pull the cord. Let's call this an evening. I'm pretty happy with where we got. The last thing that I'll do is mark row priorities over to finished. And these guys are archivable. Nameable rules will be the next on the block. Let's make sure Travis gets triggered. It's got our 110. Look at that, node 8-1. It's a race. There's node 10. Go node 6. You're looking pretty good. Shouldn't be any change to this. It's going to be a short leg here, I'm sure. That's okay. The NPM listing. We're at our 1.1.0. I'm going to address this. Let me add that to the blog here. I do admit that the code is more complicated than it should be in a couple of places. I think we can make improvements there. I don't want to get too caught up in yak shaving, but let's take a little stab at it next time we step in. All right, I'm going to call it a night. Thanks for joining me if you stopped in. I will probably stream again, certainly before the weekend, maybe even tomorrow. I tell you, this is bugging the heck out of me, so maybe tomorrow I'll deal with Code Climate's maintainability index. One way or the other. All right. Have a good night.